You are listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. Hello and welcome to Radio Nonsense, the official Comedy Club for Kids podcast that's suitable for all ages from 2. And everything in between. I'm Tiernan, and this week, listeners, look, I've been putting it off too long, but it is time. Yes, it is time to actually get on the case. Right, now I am sitting on my briefcase. I have to do something I have been meaning to do for ages and ages and ages and even longer than that. Isn't that right, Linda? 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 Where is Linda? Just who is Linda? It's been 6 years now, and Linda still hasn't turned up to help with the podcast even once. And look, I can understand why you, and also me, and also you, and also me, and everyone up and down the country, yes, even Jeff Greenchops and his singing sheep, are all getting very frustrated about it. Just, where is Linda? The country is crying out. I mean, look, if you don't believe me, check out what's in the mailbag. 1,567 dancing typewriters writes in saying, "Dear Tiernan, I like cheese puffs, and I'm a bit disappointed at how you have not yet found Linda." Well, firstly, I also like cheese puffs. Good choice. 1,567 dancing typewriters. I mean, cheese puffs are like cheese-flavoured air, aren't they? Who wouldn't want the air to taste like cheese? Exactly. But you are right. I am also disappointed that I've not found Linda. I mean, not that I've really tried. I've just sat here at Comedy Club for Kids HQ and hoped that at some point Linda would just turn up and make me a coffee, despite the fact I have no idea who she is or if she even exists. So, I declare, listeners, as of today, I must go out there myself and find Linda, and I need your help by helping me put together the clues, whether you've seen Linda anywhere or any time or any place or anyhow, and I will collate all these together to maybe work out just where to start looking. Luckily, many of you are already doing that, like this. This is from Rurography, who says, "I saw a gravestone that says Linda was dead." Oh well, the search for Linda is over. She's dead. Oh. Wait, hang on. Was dead? Does that mean she's now undead? Is Linda a vampire or a zombie? The search for Linda the zombie continues. Right, I'm filing that one under Linda is a zombie. Royal Turtle Amaretta in Australia says, "Lids has been captured by Comedy Club for Squids, but us turtles will rescue her. We are very hungry." Well, I'm not sure she'll help with your hunger though, your shellness. Especially she can't even bring me a coffee. Wait, hang on, Lids? Is that your nickname for Linda, Lids? Or have you in fact just spotted some lids? You want to watch out or Comedy Club for Lids will be after you. Right, well I'll file this one under, huh? So many clues to piece together before I begin my quest to find Linda, but before I do that, firstly, a very big shout out for Nora, who sent in a great spell and nabbed the last copy of Gary Panton's excellent Not Witches book, which should be with you soon, Nora. And also to Bastian, who only just missed out, but also sent in a very funny entry. So very sorry, Bastian. There will hopefully be more competition soon for you all to be able to enter. And of course, if any of you want to send in clues about finding Linda or questions that need to be answered or anything else at all, then please get your nearest blithering grape face, sorry, I mean grown up, to help you email me at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. And if those same grown-ups fancy helping this show happen, they can sign you up to the advert-free and Linda-free Linda edition for a very small fee at patreon.com/Comedy Club for Kids or on Apple Podcasts. Please also check out comedyclubforkids.co.uk for all of our live shows too. And before I do the most important bit, this week's guest is Neill Cameron, who writes and illustrates amazing comics for the Phoenix comic, including Donut Squad and Mega Robo Bros. The very first Donut Squad book, Donut Squad Take Over the World, is out now and it is super, super funny. I'm a Jammy Boy fan myself, oi oi, and I am 100% on Team Donut, not Team Bagel, for the record. It's out now in bookshops everywhere ever, unlike Linda, so do grab a copy, and a link will be in the podcast blurb for this episode too. Without further ado, or Linda still, here is this week's most importantest bit. I am so pleased that today on Radio Nonsense we have the amazing Neill Cameron, head of the global campaign against all things Wellington boots. Neill, I'm so happy to have you on the show. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm excited to be here and to talk about my campaign. You know, it's an important issue, and it's time that it got more attention in the media, frankly.
Do you know, I absolutely agree. I mean, I think you're not alone in this. A lot of people hate Wellington boots for a number of reasons. And what I particularly like about your campaign is, you know, you're not just saying it's because they're a bit clumpy when you put them on. They are rubbish in sandwiches. I agree. They're terrible as hats. You know, you've really dived down on all the reasons.
They're useless in so many ways. Like we could literally be here all day listing ways in which they are rubbish. But even in the thing that people think they're for, you know, keeping your feet dry, I guess. That's just, why would you want that? It seems to me that if God had wanted us to have dry feet, he would have given us, I don't know, scales or a thick layer of fur or something like that. And, you know, so essentially we're defying the divine plan for humanity.
Right.
And
so, I mean, there are also other ways, like surely there's other things you could put your feet in to keep them dry, like concrete.
Yes.
Probably that would work. Encase them in a bucket of sawdust. I mean, there must
be a bucket of sawdust. Just a regular bucket. Just like 20 pairs of socks, or one on top of the other.
Yes.
There's so many options.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think. What's is it dogs that have tongues that are like sandpaper? Because you could just have, if you could just sit a dog on your foot. And licking your foot, that would sort of dry it out very quickly. Oh, might be camels or llamas. Is one of them.
Any of those would be better, frankly.
It'd be much better, yeah.
And just think how much fun that would be for everyone. Going around with dogs and camels on your feet. Like that would bring joy and smiles to children's faces. No one's seeing a pair of Wellington boots and going, oh, with delight in their heart, are they? No. So train dogs and cats.
Yes, I agree.
It would be better for us all.
I mean, I think you're absolutely right, and I think even the colourful Wellington boots have no place in the world, and they often, I'm disguised as a ladybird. Yeah, nice one. We know what you are, really. You know, it's not very clever. You've still got someone's leg in you. It doesn't. I don't see that on normal ladybirds. Yeah. No,
absolutely. You're not fooling anyone. So you know, pack it in. I think you know the Wellington boot is the main focus of my campaigning, obviously. But also, I'm considering starting a second campaign against beef Wellingtons because they cause a lot of problems in society too, and I don't think that's talked about enough.
That's fascinating, and I think you're right. I mean, if anything, putting a beef Wellington on your foot is actually worse than putting a Wellington. Have you yourself tried to walk around in a pair of beef Wellingtons?
Well, I don't usually like to talk about it, but yes, that. There was a misunderstanding when I was sent out to buy Wellingtons, and I came home with what I thought were quite stylish and fetching, and they did not hold up in extreme weather conditions. And that's why I think it's really important that we don't name two things the same thing. Because these kind of mix-ups and confusions. That's the heart of the issue for me, I feel.
I mean, that's a very good point, isn't it? That's a very good point because, that's a very good point. I find the one that always bothers me is that like a fly, but you can also fly, but sometimes flies can walk, but they're a fly, but they walk, and that I feel like why didn't we just give a fly a different name?
And dogs and cats can walk, but we don't call them walks, do we?
No, we should. We should, but then I suppose a lot of animals would become walks very quickly, and then how would you differentiate between all the walks?
It would be incredibly confusing. You'd be sent out to buy a walk, and you'd come back with a walk, and everyone would say, "What are you doing? That's not what I want." This is why it's important for things to have different names. You see, this is the heart of the issue for me.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Do you find that? I mean, because you are Neill, but also to kneel down. is a different. Would you have? Would you rename yourself, or
Well,
are you thinking of renaming when someone has to kneel down?
we're really getting into some issues that I wasn't expecting to outside of therapy, honestly.
I'm
But
so sorry.
I think maybe that is where it comes from for me. Because my whole life since I was a kid, people would say Neil, and I would obviously go down on my knees and adopt a respectful position. And they would say, no, I was just addressing you by your name. And it's very confusing. So we shouldn't use the same word for different things.
Yes. So I suppose what I'm asking is, what would you be your? Would you prefer to rename yourself, or would you
Yes,
prefer to rename the action?
I've genuinely always dreamed of having a different name. I thought it'd be nice to be called Sit or Stand. Stand Cameron. I could live with that.
Stand Cameron. I mean, it's a lovely name, and I do think, I suppose you would stand out, but then of course the problem is, again, we're using stand to mean stand. I feel like you may run into other issues.
Well, I think if I can get the name change through deed poll or however it is you're supposed to change your name, I think once I've done that, the next step would be for everyone else to just stop using the word stand and just agree that it's mine now and you can't have it. You have to find some different word for that action, because I am now stand and that's mine.
Yeah, I think just throwing it out there, but like hoit, I think that's quite a good word for stand. Like hoit, hoit up. Yeah, I think just
ladies and gentlemen, please hoit. Yeah,
it's like hoit.
What wonderful world that would be.
Yeah, and you'd have to say it like that, otherwise I don't think it would work so good. Hoit.
My friend, who lives a few doors down, Hoyt, he might get quite annoyed by that.
Unbelievable. Well, I mean, the only way around this then is if you have names that are absolutely like there are no other words. So like you could be called Globuragle or something, and I don't think there's a Globuragle, but like you might have to go for a name like that means absolutely nothing else.
Every single person and every single thing and every single action should have a distinct word that doesn't even sound like any other word. I don't care how many syllables we need to use to get there, but that is the ultimate goal of my campaign. Sheer uniqueness for every single person, object, thing, and concept. Globuragle is a great starting point. That should be our rallying cry.
Yeah, and it doesn't sound like anything else. I don't think either. No. I mean, because you're gonna. I feel and Neil, I really I've asked you on the show, and I'm really pleased you can do it, and I do fully support your campaign. I do think if you're gonna make sure the words can't even sound like other words, that might be very tricky. You're going to run into and poems will become even more rubbish than they already.
I think it's going to take some bold visionary action to get us there, but it's worth the pain, Tiernan. I think. Don't you ever get confused when someone's describing different tiers of something, like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and you hear tier none, and you go, was that were you talking about me, or are you discussing different tiers of categories? That must be very confusing for you.
It is very difficult. I assume that they have a tier that's entirely filled with nuns or indeed nans, and that's so tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and then at tier 4 it's just everyone's nan.
Tier nan,
or nan bread. That was filled with nan bread.
That's the best tier.
Well, you see, like then I get excited because I think, well, hopefully they'll invite me, and it turns out they just said my name. There's no bread. It's thoroughly disappointing.
There's no bread. There's no nans. There's no nuns. It's just a very confusing and disappointing situation all around. And that's exactly the kind of confusing and disappointing situation that I'm trying to do something about.
I mean, it's bold. It's you got to have a vision, and I think what you're doing is fantastic. Do you know what? Actually, I'll tell you right off the bat. The one that always gets me, and it's got me since school. Actually, is there, and where, or where and were. And we could have just someone really didn't bother when they were creating those.
I blame Shakespeare for all of this.
Yes,
really. They say that Shakespeare added hundreds of new words to the English language, but not enough. I feel, frankly, he was slacking. We need more new words. Did Shakespeare come up with was it globulagle? No, he did not. No, that's on Shakespeare, frankly.
Yes, and really, we should be reading his plays going, and so I suppose sometimes you do read his plays and go, I have no idea what any of this is about. But really, it should be verily Graber's Blab affair, and people just watch me, ha ha ha, it's so clever. but we have no idea.
Well, this is another project, a long-term project I'm working
Right.
on, sort of in conjunction with the Wellington campaign. But I'm trying to sponsor a new translation of Shakespeare's works, where we're going to go through, and each time we hit a repeated word, we're going to replace that word with a new and different and exciting word that we've made up. So it's going to take a while, and it does take a lot of funding. So if anyone wants to chip into that campaign, we really appreciate that. But we will end up with a truly unique and a bold step forward for the English language, I feel.
I'm really excited. Listen, I don't want to cause any spoilers because it sounds like there'd obviously be some incredible launch of this that everyone can see. But the phrase we all know is to be or not to be. That is the question.
Yeah, see, it's got repetition built into it. Terrible.
Yeah,
we're hoping to replace that one with to be or not flonk bronk.
Yeah, that is
which
so
just has a better ring to it. I think you can agree.
To be or not flonk bronk. Yeah, that's a beautiful. I think that's beautiful. Actually, I'd say. I mean, Shakespeare, eat your words. You're not very good words, because that was real poetry.
Yeah,
and I'd like to see that performed in all the theatres.
We've got Patrick Stewart on board. We've got David Tennant. They're back in the campaign. There are some holdouts, I grant you.
Yes.
Some people are like, "What's a bronk franc? That just sounds like some nonsense you made up, Neil." I'm like, "No, you don't appreciate my vision." Yes. Dame Helen Mirren.
Wow, exactly. Yeah, absolutely
disappointing.
I mean, that's very disappointing. That's very, yeah. There's always going to be those kind of people that just, we like things how they are. We're not ready for change. I'm going to eat the same sandwich. And but there's other sandwiches out there,
Exactly. Another law I'm proposing is that everyone should be forced to eat a different sandwich every day.
Yes.
Because cheese and pickle, ham, they're fine, but you fall into a pattern, and there's so much more to life. Every day, new words. Every day, new sandwich.
New sandwiches with new names for the sandwiches.
And you also have to replace the word sandwich every day. That's
because you can't say it. Yes, of
can't
course,
say sandwich again.
Boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And well, there's also, I think, a big issue with sandwiches in that you say a sandwich and you automatically assume, right, it's a bit of bread, something on top of it, and then another bit of bread on top. But actually, anything is also sandwiched together. So a sandwich could be a lump of clay, a lot of dead bees, another lump of clay, and that is technically a sandwich.
I know, and yet when I try to send it back in Greg's, they say it was advertised as a sandwich, and it technically is. Please leave Greg's, sir. And
so rude.
Yeah.
So rude.
Again, just disappointing. That attitude, so prevalent.
Well, that whole shop is confusing because apparently everything in it is Greg's, but you can go and take it. You can go and buy it. And you think, but it's Greg's. So this doesn't make sense to me. Surely Greg has to eat all of these millions of...
Have you been... I mean, that's the other reason I get asked to leave, because I try and I got some fake ID made up so that I could go in there, because I heard the sausage rolls were really good. So I got some fake ID made up saying Greg Cameron. And I've got away with it a couple of times, but one of the security guards did bust me the last time and asked me to leave. Have you been going into Greg's despite not being a Greg, Tiernan? That's pretty bold.
No, but I'm just sort of like, when they're like, "What's your name?" I just go, you know it, guys. Usual, please. I just sort of like
styling it out. I
style it out, because
just the confidence that takes.
You've just got to really be aware. You've got to, I don't know, like you just got to walk like a Greg, That's where the saying comes from, isn't it? Yes.
Walk like a Greg.
Yeah, I know, it's a real... it's hard to say because it's something I have been practicing for years, but you just got to hold yourself in a certain way, give a kind of look, like a nod to the people at the counter, and they're like, yeah, that's a Greg,
Yeah. I spent a lot of years trying, but I feel like the twinkle in the eye just isn't there. They can see through me. They go, "You're not a Greg." Yeah. And I have to hang my head in shame and admit, I'm not a Greg.
Do you know, here's a little tip that I will give you if you are such an amateur Greg, and I'm sorry to hear about that. But if you were to take an egg with you and draw a face on it, and you just take it out your pocket and go, "I'm not a Greg, but here's this is a Greg," that works every time.
Say hello to my little Greg.
Yeah, say hello to my little Greg, and they will. Then you get. They will fill your bag with sausage rolls.
Oh, this is a game changer. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, well, I'm here to help. You know, you've got this marvelous campaign of Fronks and Sprunks, and
I'm going
the
to
least
carry
I
a
can do
hard-boiled
is
egg with a little
yes,
face drawn on it
yeah.
in my pocket at all times when traveling this land.
I think
And oh, it's going to open so many doors for me. Thank you.
so many doors, and the only thing is, of course, if you have more than one sausage roll, you have to change the name of it, and
Oh, that's going to be tough.
it's going to be very tough. And I mean, but I haven't even got into the semantics of it being called a roll, but it's not rolling anywhere, and there's bread rolls, and
Well, I've always preferred to think of them as sausage Wellingtons.
yes,
No, wait, no, I can't do that.
No, absolutely
Oh,
not.
internal inconsistency in my whole. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to think about that some more.
Well, listen,
I've let myself down there.
You've let Greg down. that's the worst bit.
That's what really hurts.
Listen,
That's what really hurts.
what matters is you're here, Neil, and I'm so grateful that you've got time in between campaigning against words, Wellington boots, sausage rolls, to be here. And I do have a question that I know you are the man that can answer it. But I'm not sure if you're aware, but this show, I have two legally binding admin questions that I do have to ask you first. Are you all right with admin? Are you an admin guy?
I prefer to, let my people handle admin generally, but
Right.
in this case, I can. My people aren't here today, sadly. They decided they had better things to do, so I guess I can handle some light admin.
Sure. That's fair. Where have your people gone? What have they done?
They didn't leave a note, so it's hard to say.
It's very worrying, right? Yeah.
They just sort
I
of,
hope they come back. I mean,
I'd heard sort of mutterings that they were unhappy with the situation generally and were dreaming of a better life, where they could use the same words more than once.
wow.
On a day-to-day basis without being chastised. But I said to them, stop using phrases like day-to-day basis. It's called a day-to splem basis now.
Yes, that's much better. Yeah.
And anyway, they're not here, so you
if
have to draw your own
see
conclusions.
people out and about and they're saying to be or not to be, I will send them back. I'll send them straight back to you.
You tell them. You tell them from me.
I will tell them. I'm not having any of that nonsense. Well, thank you. Well, listen, Neil, I appreciate you handling light admin. I hope this counts as light admin. There's two questions. Take your time with these. I don't think, they're not easy for everyone. The first one is it's very necessary, but we have listeners of all ages to this show, all possible ages you can imagine: Bronze Age, Ice Age, 47, 104, not 100. If you're 100, you can't listen. It's a long story, but every other age. And so I just have to check if there are any rude words you won't be saying during this show to make sure it's safe for everyone.
Any rude words I won't be saying?
Yes.
So I can say all the other rude words.
Yeah, you can say all the other, but I just have to make sure there's at least one you won't be saying.
Oh well, no, there's one I definitely won't be saying. And it's a word I didn't even realize this was a rude word, because I grew up here in England, and then I went and lived in Scotland for several years, and I was just happily saying this word, and people would look shocked and offended, and I did not realize. But in the Scots dialect, this is actually a very offensive word, so I definitely will not be saying it. In case I assume you have some Scottish listeners, and I would not want to cause offence to them.
Listeners. Yeah, I mean, we could tell them to close up their ears right now. Would that be a sensible? Yeah,
that might. Yeah,
I think
because I really don't want to offend anyone. I have a deep love and affection for the Scottish people, and I would not want to offend anyone. So I just want to make that clear.
Right. Well, if I could just ask any listeners who are in Scotland, have heard of Scotland, have maybe been near Scotland, I think just close up your ears, close your ears right now, and your eyes, and maybe your nose, and
just to be on the safe side.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea. Do that right now. Right, Neil, if you could let us know the word you will not be saying.
Okay. Well, I will definitely not be saying the word Shoreditch.
Oh, wow.
You said I had to say it. I didn't want to say it.
No. But I'm glad by saying it, we know you're not going to say it, and I wouldn't say Shoreditch. I would never dare say a word like that on this show.
Oh, it feels really wrong hearing you say it.
Oh. It's awful, and I think not only would the word Shoreditch upset our Scottish listeners, but I think everyone listening would be truly appalled.
It sounds so hateful.
It is. It's an awful and nasty, nasty word, and I appreciate you not saying that on the show.
How will Scottish listeners know when they're allowed to unplug their ears and noses?
That's a good point. They probably they won't be able to hear me telling them. I mean, I guess they'll just
You may
never
have
listen
listeners
again.
asphyxiating all of Scotland right now, Tiernan.
They're just never going to listen to anything again. They're just going to be. They have their fingers in their ears for the rest. You're not even meant to put a finger in an ear, are you? I think that's. Is it? They say you can't put anything in your ear bigger than an elbow, which is really hard to do. Like you've got to work really hard to stick an elbow in there.
You can stick someone else's elbow in there, I suppose.
Like a sort of. It's a good dance. If you all put an elbow in an ear and go round in a circle, I think it looks quite nice.
Well, this is what everyone is doing right now in Scotland, but they don't know how to stop because they can't hear you tell them to stop.
I think there's nothing. There's nothing I could do. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I would say I'm sorry to Scotland. They can't hear me say that, so I don't know how.
They will never know.
No, they'll never. Crikey. I think if we just gloss over it and hope no one ever comes back to me with the consequences, I think we'll be.
That's how I like to get through life, generally. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure.
It'll be
They'll
fine.
just dance. Yeah, they'll just dance forever, and they might like it. You know, we're
That
assuming
sounds
they don't
fun.
like it.
That sounds good.
They might love it. So, yeah.
Think how many new friends they'll make, sticking their elbows in each other's ears and dancing through the streets.
Yeah, it's
Ayrshire.
It's the dream.
It's a beautiful image.
Always had. Yeah, and so I think it's fine. It's fine. I'm sorry, you can't hear me. Well, listen, Neil, I'm glad Scotland definitely won't hear that word. So, well, Neil, thank you. Listen, Scotland can't hear you say Shoreditch, and you won't be saying it ever again. And I definitely wouldn't say it. So I appreciate you. Appreciate you doing that. Thank you. The next question. This is actually, I realise we've slightly already addressed some of this, but this is very important. But Neil, would you rather that any food you ate always tasted of bees, or that wherever you went, old socks and pants would fly towards you, like you were a sort of sock and pant magnet?
Wow, that's a real classic dilemma, isn't it? I mean, we've all asked ourselves that at some point, but having to be put on the spot for it, that's. Just go over that for me one more time.
So, right, well, everything you ate
tastes of bees.
It always tastes of bees, no matter what you're eating, even if you are eating bees or not. Like I would
expect
the bee
that.
sandwich
That's
earlier.
fair.
Yeah. But everything else would always taste of bees, or like wherever you went, you just old pairs of socks and pants would just fly towards you from out of nowhere. They just like you wouldn't be able to stop it. Like you're had magnetic powers.
That's like I'm Magneto, but with pants. That's not
right.
Good.
Pantnito, yes.
No. And just to be clear, this is not limited to just like my socks and pants, because that could be quite useful, like when you're going around picking up laundry and.
It's all big, and I also need for. As the Scottish listeners now aren't listening, the American listeners, I mean pants as in like underpants, Y-fronts. I'm not talking just pairs of jeans.
Oh, that's even worse. I'm American, so I thought you meant trousers.
Right. Oh no. Right. So no, it's you do sound very American now. Actually,
I didn't think I needed to explain it. I thought my accent would clue you in. Yeah.
Well, do you know? And also bringing that in, then I suppose as along with your campaign, I don't mean like when someone pants because they are like they're out of breath. Like, I don't mean that isn't flying towards you. It is just.
You see why we need my campaign to succeed.
Yes, absolutely.
See the potential dangers, frankly. It's not just inconvenience, that's dangerous. You've got panting creatures flying towards you. That's a whole other ballgame.
It's a whole other ballgame, yeah.
As we say in the States.
Yes, classic American phrase, actually. Yes, very good.
Okay, so, I mean, it's hard to really know for sure, because I don't think I've ever eaten a bee. So I don't really know what bees taste like. And it could be that bees taste absolutely delicious. They make honey, right?
Yeah.
And that's nice. So if all bees taste like little sort of crunchy flying nuggets of honey, then that would be lovely.
That's a good point.
I could live with that.
Well, I suspect because I was just thinking that they're quite furry. Like kiwis are quite furry, but then on the inside they're quite sweet. I assume it's the same with bees. They're furry on the outside, but then inside Bit like sort of honeycomb or something.
That used to be their advertising slogan, I think.
Yes,
Furry
it
on the
did.
outside, like
Sweet on...
honeycomb on the inside.
Oh, used to love a box of
I used to love
these on the
they had
weekend.
to recall
Yeah.
that from the market, didn't they? The furry crunchy. That was you used to get that back in the
Yes.
80s.
Oh,
Loved them.
it's lovely. Lovely cereal. Yeah.
So if I think there is a chance, however, that bees don't taste like delicious furry honeycomb. I'd need to consult a bee scientist to know for sure, I suppose. And so if they tasted like, for example, I don't know, goat's cheese, then I wouldn't like that because I don't enjoy goat's cheese. And so if all bees taste like that and then everything I eat tastes like bee goat cheese, then that goat's bees, yes, that would be a very unpleasant situation for me.
Yes.
Whereas I feel like with old socks and pants, you sort of know what you're dealing with. I've seen old socks and pants. There's no surprises for me there.
And you can
like
still eat what you like.
It'd be inconvenient and potentially quite unhygienic.
Yes.
But it's that or eating goat's bees cheese all day long.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you got to think of the pluses. You could eat what you liked while these socks and pants were flying at you, which is quite nice. Even though obviously sometimes you might go to take a bite, but then a pair of pants would get like that would be horrible. But I also think there's the bonus of if you were covered in old socks and pants, you'd be camouflaged most of the time. Like a lot of people wouldn't, if you need to get around in disguise, people would think, oh, there's a lot of old socks and pants moving around. But no, it's Neill on his way to the shops.
Yeah, actually, because I'm incredibly famous, that could be quite useful for me because I get recognised going to the shops all the time. And instead, they'd be like, "Oh, look, it's just a shuffling mound of old socks and pants going to the shops," and so that'd be quite relaxing in a way.
Yeah,
and it'd be sort of like being walking around wrapped up in a duvet, right? Just a really disgusting duvet.
Yeah, I think
made of other people's socks.
Yes. Very nice in the winter. The winter would be lovely. Nice and warm.
It would be nice to be able to eat what I liked and not have to worry about it tasting like bees / goat's cheese bees. But I wonder if being constantly surrounded by other people's socks and pants might ruin your appetite a bit anyway. Just might sort of put you off your dinner.
I think you get used to it.
You can get used to a lot, right?
Yeah. yeah. I mean, it's a tough choice. I really appreciate that you're thinking it through, but I do have to ask you: is that a definitive? Do you want to be a sock and pant magnet?
No, I'm swerving at the last minute. I'm going for the bees.
Wow, no one saw that coming. That was amazing.
Yeah, I'm very indecisive.
It was very good. Wow. Well, listen, thank you for taking that question as seriously as it needed to be taken. I've
just realised that was a hypothetical question, and I don't have to do that, and I can relax. I was really stressed out there.
Oh no, it was legal. It was legally binding. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you know what? That's on me for not reading the contract you sent me.
Yes, I do send. I do write it in very small. I put very, very small writing on the you have to.
No, that's fair. You have to. Yeah. I should have checked, and that's on me.
That's all right. It doesn't start till after the show, so you've got a little bit of time.
Okay.
If you want to eat a sandwich, if you want to eat something you like, while we do the next bit,
can I have my last ever sausage roll while we do the show.
That's not no, you'll have sausage rolls. I've just tasted bees. It's like it depends on I
probably won't want them at that point.
No, probably not. No,
which also solves the problem of what I call them because I just won't have them.
Yes, very good. See, it all works out in the end. Well, listen, Neill. Thank you for taking those questions seriously. We've had this question sent in, and this person has put their name. People like to send their names. Sometimes they don't like to send their names, but they have said their name is I am Linda and Tiernan in the UK. Now, Linda is my imaginary assistant, who I believe is real, but also not at all real. And I am me, and I definitely didn't ask this question, so I'm a bit worried this kid's committed identity fraud.
Well, or this kid is you and Linda, and there's some kind of situation where you and Linda combine and form a gestalt entity greater than either of you on your own that is this kid who sent in a question. And you maybe don't have full memory of the actions you take while in this gestalt merged with Linda state. But what you do like to do when in that state is sending questions to your own podcast, which is psychologically fascinating, I have to say.
I mean, it is. You're right. I mean, the funny thing is this question they've sent in, it is something I've always wondered. So it must have come from the deep recesses of my
Something
mind,
you've always
and
wondered,
indeed
but we're never
Linda.
quite sure how to ask.
Well,
And
that's
so
it.
you,
And by working with Linda, whoever she is, wherever she is, if she is real or not, she's helped me. I mean, she is real. She isn't, but she is, and she's helped me gestate and create this question that I then. I mean, yes. I mean, wow. This has got very deep. But
perhaps
I
Linda
suppose
is the hidden parts of yourself. Perhaps you are the hidden parts of Linda.
wow, Linda was the me I made along the way, all along. That's fascinating. There's other questions to be asked, but there is this
There's
question,
so many
which
questions.
I would say is probably one of the most important questions we've ever had. And I'm going to read it to you as it's been sent, because it's been formatted in a very specific way by me and Linda. So it's question: Bum. Is the world round, square, flat, triangle, or a poo? And I just want you to, before we start this, I don't know if bum is like the way they like their grammar. I don't know if they have to sort of start a sentence with bum so you know it's starting, or if they are perhaps
It's
maybe
the same
this
in
question should
German,
have gone
isn't
to
it?
bum.
That's
Yeah.
that's how you know it's going to be. That's how you know that what follows is going to be a question. Yeah, that's the correct
Yeah,
grammatical
bum,
form.
was ist
Bum.
das? Yes, yeah, that's right, yeah.
If anyone listening to this has ever, had any trouble at school, been accused by their teachers of not being properly respectful, it's probably because you're not using the correct grammatical form. So next time you need to ask your teacher a question, say, "Bum, how long is it till lunch break?" "Bum, can you help me with these sums?" That sort of
Yes.
thing. And they'll be really pleased and glad that you are now using correct grammar.
I think it's if you meet the king, I think that's how you have to speak formally to the
Bum.
king, isn't it? Yeah, a bum.
Well, that's
Yeah.
how he addresses you. Of course, you meet him and he
Yes.
says, "Bum, and what is it you do?"
Yes, it
The
is because
classic king
he's
line.
been
Yeah,
brought up correctly. Yes, that's right.
yeah.
That's right. Well, so we're obviously dealing with someone. Well, if it is, it's me and Linda. But if it's not me and Linda, we're dealing with someone of quite high regard, who's been very well schooled.
Well, I mean, clearly you and Linda are greater than the sum of your parts and
Yes.
have better grammar than you do on your own. So that's good. That's nice.
Wow, that's very impressive. I mean, it's a
Bum.
big
What was the
question.
question again?
The question is, it's big now, and look, and I understand. You know, if you need to take a second to think about this, it's big. Is the world round, square, flat, triangle, or a poo?
Again, just something we've all asked ourselves so many times. I mean, this is fascinating. I know this isn't like a history podcast specifically, but I'm a bit of an amateur student of history, and this has been something that human beings have debated for centuries. Of course, in the olden days, sort of pre Middle Ages, people naturally, the sort of common sense belief was that the Earth was a poo. Of course, because you look around you, you don't know about planets and continental drift and what have you. You look at the world around you, and naturally, your first thought is this is all made of poo, because that's just common sense, isn't it?
It just makes sense. Yeah, absolutely.
And animals are pooing everywhere. You're a peasant. You're living in a cave or something. Animals poo everywhere. You probably poo, and so there's all this poo coming out of places. Never seems to go anywhere. The Earth is sort of made of soil, which sort of it's brown. So it's natural that early humans just sort of took for granted that the world was a poo.
Yes. That makes perfect sense. But
then
I
of
suppose
course,
we've had science. Yeah.
But then we invented science back in the Renaissance, in the late Middle Ages, and an Italian astronomer, Galileo, he came along and he suggested that the Earth was in fact not poo.
Wow.
And that was very controversial.
Yeah.
Because obviously, it was the center of everyone's entire belief system was that the Earth was made of poo. Was poo. That was the phrasing in the question. Was a poo.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it is a
Just
poo. Yes.
A poo, yeah. And so when he came along and started to say, actually, I've done some science and you're not going to believe this, guys, but according to my latest findings, the Earth is not a poo. Oh, people were very angry. People got very cross.
Yeah. He got a lot of poo thrown at him. for
He got a lot of
suggesting
poo
that,
thrown
didn't
at him. They're like, "That's not made of poo. What do you call this then,
he?
mate?"
Mm.
Galileo, as they hurled
Yeah.
their poo at him.
That was
But
good
he
they said
stuck to his
that. Yeah.
beliefs,
Yeah.
and they eventually flushed him down a giant toilet
Wow. Awful.
for it. They said, "Let the punishment fit the crime." That's what the Pope said.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so they
The
flushed him
poo.
down a giant
Yeah.
toilet.
Hmm.
And then someone said, "Wait, poos can be different shapes, though. That doesn't actually help us because the Earth could be a poo, but also a triangle."
Wow. Wow.
Like if you study zoology, obviously animals do all kinds of poos, right? Rabbits
Yeah.
do little round poos.
Mm.
Wombats. Have you ever seen a wombat's poo?
Yeah, I know they do square poos, right?
They do
So you
square
can
poos.
they can build them into little castles, and it's for construction purposes, I think.
It's like
Isn't it?
Minecraft, yeah.
Yes, that's exactly it. Yeah, it's exactly Poocraft. Yeah,
Poocraft, yeah.
absolutely,
All wombats playing Poocraft all the time.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
That's why they seem so
yeah.
chill.
Yes, yes, it makes sense, and so that sort of brings us back to, I suppose, the theory that actually the world is poo, but it's just different shaped poo to the standard kind of poo emoji shape that we might
Yeah,
have
exactly.
thought.
The world is a poo, but is the world a wombat poo or a rabbit poo or a classic poo emoji poo?
Right, right. And where are we on the sort of, where, because I suppose for me the issue with it being square is where's the corner, like, and can you sit in it? Can you poo in it? Where are the corners? Because I'd
Well,
like
I
to go
mean,
to a corner of the earth.
you simply have to do your own research, Tiernan. You have to do your own research, research square poo Earth, and just
Right.
sort of set off out your front door one day and decide I'm just going to walk in a straight line
Yeah.
as far as I can. And when you suddenly fall off, that's when you've reached the corner.
Wow. That's actually, yeah, that's very good. That could be quite nearby, and I've got no idea about it. That's interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, it could be just
Yeah.
2 streets away. You could be right near the corner, and you'd never know.
I'd love that. I'd love to live near a corner of
Wouldn't
the
it be
earth.
great?
It'd be brilliant. I like corners. They're good for putting things in,
Living
Like
on one of the edges would be good, but on a corner, that's the best spot, isn't it?
Oh, it's the best bit. Like in a jigsaw, it's always that you want the corner. That's the one everyone wants.
Yeah.
I mean, my big question, I suppose, is if we are a poo. I say we are. We obviously are. But if the Earth is a poo, what's pooed us out? Like there must be a giant galactic bum out there.
Well, I mean, that's the cause of so many, wars and intolerance over the course of human history, isn't it? Because people who believe that the world is a square poo assume that we were, of course, created by being pooped out by a giant cosmic wombat. But people
Yes.
who think that some people, I know this sounds silly, but some people still believe the Earth is round, the Earth is a globe, which would imply that we've been pooped out by some kind of giant space rabbit. And the rabbit people and the wombat people just do not get on. And, endless wars have been fought to resolve this dispute. It's tragic, really. Yeah.
It is very sad. I mean, we know for sure because it hasn't come in the question that there's no question of it being one of those weird long poos that goldfish do. So I'm assuming it's not. We haven't been pooed out by a giant. I'm assuming we can narrow that down.
I'm showing my own ignorance here. I only now realise I've never actually seen a goldfish poo. They're
Right,
weird long poos. Fascinating.
They do these weird long poos that just sort of hang off them for a long time, and they swim around absolutely unbothered that there's a big poo just hanging off
goldfish.
them.
No.
It's awful because they're like pretty. Well, it's one of my big issues with mermaids is that everyone thinks mermaids are pretty, but they have a bottom half of a fish, so they must do poos like goldfish do.
They must.
They can't. That just
simply
hang
must.
off them for ages, And where's the science on that?
That is something that just hasn't come up enough in classic children's literature and fairy tales.
No, it hasn't. No, I want to see the Little Mermaid version where that happens. And
I don't.
Yes, you don't. No, you don't. You're right. Actually, maybe no one should. Well, listen. I mean, Neil, this is. I thank you for answering mine and Linda's question that has been sent in. I feel we know for sure it's a poo. Well, we know it's a poo. I feel like we definitely know the world is a poo.
That's the one thing we do know for sure.
whether or not it's a square, flat, triangle, or round poo, or even hexagonal poo,
We have to leave that to the philosophers.
Yes. I mean, I'm going to, after this, while you're eating your bee tasting food, I'm going to go and look for a corner. That's my plan.
Nice.
Yes. Well, listen, Neill, thank you so much for taking the time to come on Radio Nonsense this week with all of your wisdom and indeed your Wellington and word-based campaigns. I know, I was going to ask you what you got coming up, but first I should say that as well as all your campaigns, you do have a book that's coming out. You have the Donut Squad Take Over the World book, which is out right now, I believe. And it's about donuts versus bagels.
Yeah, another ancient conflict that has torn apart so many lives.
Yes, but at least you know what shape they are.
That's true, yeah. No one is suggesting that donuts or bagels are triangular or incredibly long and hanging off a goldfish, so that's something at least.
Yes, you do get those long boy donuts. I suppose that's...
Just throws the whole situation into
confusion, I've really messed things up. Well, you know...
I thought I had one fact I could cling on to there, Tim.
It's a good fact. Can we say for sure that in Donut Squad Take Over the World, the donuts are all round shaped?
They are your classic traditional round with a hole in the middle donut.
Good.
Donuts.
So if anyone is upset by the concept of different shaped donuts, that is, they can safely pick up a copy of Donut Squad Take Over the World.
Yeah, I would put a parental advisory on the cover if ever I let that happen. You know, I wouldn't want anyone to be shocked or upset by seeing a differently shaped donut. That'd be heartbreaking.
I appreciate that. Well, thank you. Well, all the listeners need to get on that, and they need to check out the Phoenix. They're probably already reading the Phoenix comic, but they need to check that out every week, where the Donut Squad do indeed feature of normal shaped donuts. And apart from that, Neill, what are you up to in the next 70 to 80 years? Anything much?
Not really. I was looking forward to lunch, but I guess it's just bees from here on out, isn't it? So. That changes a lot of my plans for the next 70 to 80 years, if I'm honest.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Got a lot to reevaluate now.
Yes, I mean, but at least you won't have socks and pants flying at you. So I think, you got
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Well, good luck with, maybe you'll discover you really like the taste and it's suddenly it's a bright and beautiful future out there. So
I just hope for my sake that you're right, Tiernan.
Yes.
Yes. Good luck for you finding your corner.
Thank you very much. And I was going to say thank you and bye-bye, but I realize bye-bye is the same word. So is there a preferred?
Yeah, we actually like to say thank you and bye. Har.
That's wonderful. Well, in which case, thank you and bye. Har.
You're very welcome.
Thanks so much to Neill for having time out of his many, many important campaigns to help answer my and Linda's important question. If me and Linda, wherever or whoever she is, aren't happy with the answer, then I guess we should send any complaints to ourselves in the mirror? This is weird. Check out Neill's amazing new graphic novel or comic book or book with pictures, however you want to call it, called Donut Squad Take Over the World, which is in all bookshops, good and bad, right now, and it's so very, very funny. Also, you can check out even more Donut Squad strips in the brilliant Phoenix comic every week, which you can subscribe to at thephoenixcomic.co.uk, and you should, because it is excellent. If you have a question you need to have answered on Radio Nonsense, or you just want to send in anything else at all, please ask your nearest blithering grapeface, grown-up, to help you email me at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. And if they want to support this podcast getting made, they can sign you up to the advert-free Early Access Linda Edition for a small monthly fee at Apple Podcasts or patreon.com/Comedy Club for Kids. Now, back to the search for Linda! #1 Owlet on Spotify says, Linda, you have your own edition of the show, Linda. Linda, you hear that? That is correct, one Owlet. But I'm sorry to say she's never shown up on that podcast. She hasn't subscribed to it either. So it's really strange considering it's got her name on it. You think she'd know it was there? Eduardo says, my favourite colour is blue, your middle name is Dave, and Linda is flying on the International Space Station at the same time as doing massive farts. I think it's about to explode. Bang, bang, kaboom. Oh well, goodbye, International Space Station. Linda, I can't believe you blew up the International Space Station with farts, Linda. So is Linda now floating around in space? You know, sort of using like farts like a sort of jetpack to push herself around? Or is she in the sea, kidnapped by squids? Or is she a zombie? Where to even start, listeners? Well, I have to start somewhere. For here begins the quest to find Linda. Here I go. Ouch, Linda. Linda, can you unlock the door, please, Linda? Linda? Oh, suppose I'll get my keys then. Linda, I will find you, no matter how far. I will find you. Linda, bye. You have been listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. It's the end.